This time on Ride Ride Video, we talk about what got me into skateboarding. We talk about the baggiest pants ever in a skate video, a couple other things, and we talk about if playing a skateboarding game will actually make you better at real life skateboarding. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Ride Ride Video, a channel where you can learn new things about skateboarding and talk about all kinds of different topics in the skateboarding world, and I answer your questions here on this series, Ask Rad Rat. Think up your own questions to submit to me at the end. I'll tell you how to do that. First one today is from Tyler, who says, apologies if you've already answered or done these on video before. I'm a fairly new subscriber, but I think it would be really cool to hear what you think. I have answered these questions, but you made me think about that. There's stuff that I may have answered in Ask Rad Rat 002 that no one would remember, even if they were watching. So I'm going to start doing stuff like that again. But first one, what got you into skateboarding? The answer is Tony Hawk 2. I had played Tony Hawk 1 at a friend's house before. It was just kind of cool. I didn't really think much of it. But a good friend of mine got Tony Hawk 2, and we were playing it in his basement a lot. He skated already at that point, but I didn't know that, I don't think. We didn't go to the same school, so we didn't see each other all that often, but he was playing the game and we were playing it together and beating some of it and watching the ending videos. And I thought they were cool, but not that much inspired me. You know, like seeing a guy jump down a couple stairs, the board does a little flippy-do. I don't know what it means or what it matters at all. It was cool, but I didn't get much out of it. And then we beat it with Rodney Mullen, and I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, thing I can still remember, is the Casper slides in that. A lot of his stuff in the ending video is really, really good. But those Casper slides really blew my mind because you couldn't do that in the game. It's like you're doing a manual, but the board's upside down. Like, how did he even think of that? How is that even possible? And that made me realize that skateboarding is more than I jumped, the board did a thing, and then I landed on it, and I did it in different places. And I guess it just had more of an artistic feel to it once I saw that, and I thought that was really cool, and that made me want to start. So that's the story there. Your second question was, what was your first trick that you were really stoked about landing? Of course, that would be a kickflip, like a lot of kids. I learned how to ollie stationary. I don't know if I had even learned it while rolling yet before I started to learn how to kickflip, and I was outside the stairs, out the back door of my house growing up, and we had this handrail with a little ball on the bottom, on the end of the railing. So I was holding onto it with my right hand. Board was halfway in the grass, so I could still pop the tail on the sidewalk, but I wouldn't roll at all. And so I'm leaning most of my weight on my hand, on the handrail here, trying to do a kickflip. And I remember finally landing my first one, and it was just the craziest, like the best feeling. I shouldn't have jumped right into trying to do a kickflip already. It was really, really hard, but I finally did it, and it was the best. But the second one that I thought of when you asked that was actually my first kickflip that I was rolling for, and also my first grind at the same time. I was skating at that friend's house I mentioned, and he had this little flat bar he made. It was really low. It was like this square, like a metal square thing, just drilled onto a 2x4, I think. So it was maybe this high off the ground. And we were outside. It was super windy. It was like tornado weather out there. And it was just like, well, if I land anything, it's going to be by sheer chance, or I'm going to land perfectly and I'm going to be blown off. So like, whatever, I'm just going to screw on. I'm going to throw a kickflip at this rail, see what happens. I throw a kickflip. I'm probably way off balance. The wind somehow makes me land in a 5-0. I do a 5-0 grind down the rail, and I kind of like dropped in off the side. And I kind of stepped off, but sort of pushed a little bit. I'm sure if I had footage of it now, it was a total bail. But I landed into a 5-0, my first ever grind. I'd never even done a board slide, I don't think. And actually, no, I'm sure I had never done a board slide. Never done anything on a rail, not even a 50-50. Did a kickflip backside 5-0. I was trying to do a kickflip board slide, just to give you an idea how far off I was. Kickflip 5-0, sort of landed it. I didn't bail. I rode away, but my foot, I did like a no comply off or something like that. And so that was one of the huge things, like, this is amazing. That felt so cool. I eventually learned kickflip 5-0. It took another year or so, but I eventually was able to do those. So that is the story there. Next question is from Jacob. It says, what is the worst case of 90s baggy pants? The first person I thought of was Damon Bird from the video Right to Skate. So this is the guy who is doing all kinds of crazy pressure flips. This video part is worth watching just to get an idea of what skateboarding could have been. Like, this is an alternate reality where pressure flips became the hot thing and took off. Because he's doing stuff that no one had done yet, and a lot of this stuff maybe hasn't been repeated. Like Nate Sherwood can do basically any pressure flip in the world, but this guy is just crazy. But he's got some super baggy pants and really baggy shorts too, for bonus points. So that was my first one that I thought of. The next guy, I hate having to say this guy's name on the channel. It's Ron, and then this is his last name. I've looked it up before. There's a site where you can submit how your own last name sounds, so you can listen to clips of people saying the name. And a lot of people say it Nig. I said that on the channel before, and everyone was like, it's Kanagi. And I don't know how his family says the name, but that's the guy I'm talking about. And in this part, you can just see he's just got this super massive pants, which is just, it's really funny to watch this stuff now. And it also makes me wonder what people are doing now that is going to be this hilarious in the future. And my theory about that is with haircuts where they start super short, where it's just bare skin, and then it starts to fade in about here. And they also do it with the beard, where the beard actually starts down here. I think that's going to be like the hilarious thing in another 20 years, but I don't know. Last guy I found was Sage Humphreys, which you might expect because it's in the video called Big Pants Small Wheels. There are some contenders in that video as well, although there are some people with normal pants too. But yeah, they're pretty massive pants throughout the whole video. If you do get amused by that, it's a good video to watch anyway. I just think all that stuff with the super tech stuff is really interesting, and you can learn a lot, but you'll have trouble not laughing here and there as well. So that's a list I came up with. There's probably more. There was a clip that came to mind, and I couldn't remember what it was from or how to find it. It was like a team video from the 90s. It wasn't like a big pro brand video. It was just like a couple of guys, although some of them became pros later, I think. And there's a guy skating on a curb, which doesn't say much. It was the 90s. Everyone was skating on curbs. So I can't really remember what it was. But there was one more that was, I think, a little bit worse, but I couldn't find it. If you know of any worse, put them down in the comments. Okay, next question is from Alex, who asks, what is your favorite obstacle to skate, and what is your least favorite, or something you haven't tried, like a 12-foot pipe with vert? I think for me, all I really need to have fun is a nice, smooth, flat ground, and then a box / manual pad. That's about it. If it's a foot-ish tall, maybe one side is a square coping, the other side is round. That's really all I need. I think that's pretty much it. It'd be cool to have something that you can kind of stack up, like this thing I made a long time ago. A friend built the lower box in wood shop and had to get rid of it, and I built the other one, and I would just make up different combinations with that. Having a couple different boxes that I can move is probably all I really need. It'd be cool to have one down a little slope, not like a crazy hubbub, but just like, you know, something that's kind of mellow and fun. Would be cool. I also like small transition. It'd be cool to have another little mini ramp. I used to have one in my backyard growing up. It'd be cool to do one here, although it'd fill up most of my backyard, and I don't think the neighbors would be too excited about it. But I always had a ton of fun with that. I never got great with transition. I could do a bunch of different stalls and stuff, but anything where you'd have to like pop out of the coping and land back in transition, I could never figure out how to do that well. You know, I could ollie like front wheels clear the coping and back down, and do like kickflip up onto the coping and do a stall or something like that. But I don't know, transition was always pretty tough for me, but it was fun. It's just like, if I did my hardest trick and recorded it, no one would care because it'd be so simple. So I do like that. As for stuff I haven't skated, 12-foot vert, I think I did. There was this huge half pipe that the skate park used to go to, and like I could jump up and touch the rim on a basketball hoop, so I know what 10 feet is, and this was a bit higher. I know 12 feet is like ridiculously high, and I'm sure it wasn't, but I have skated a giant half pipe. I haven't dropped in on vert though, to be honest with you. I start at the bottom and like pump my way up. So that's something I haven't done. And yeah, and then a lot of huge stuff I haven't done. I've always kept it more like tech and little stuff is more my speed. Okay. Next question is from Magnus, who says, do you think playing skateboarding games, especially more realistic / modern ones such as Skater XL, can actually help you improve your real life skating? I've once heard of a study suggesting that above a certain skill level, picturing or watching a task can be almost as effective for learning as performing the task itself. Does that apply to skating as well? Funny you say that, because I think you probably heard that here. I know I've talked about that before. I think the study was showing that if you hook someone up to like brain sensors and you show them someone doing something, it fires off the same places in their brain as if they were doing it themselves. So in theory, if you are 6 out of 10 on kickflips as far as your consistency, and you watch kickflips for 8 hours and go back out, you might be 7 out of 10. Like, you might get better just from watching someone else do the thing that you're doing too. And that's kind of cool, but does it apply to skateboarding games? And that's a lot different to me. So I haven't played Skater XL yet. I know a lot of people have been telling me I have to, but like even the skate games, very realistic, but I don't know if it's quite realistic enough. If it was just a kickflip and you're watching the ankle flick and you kind of get the feeling of a kickflip, that might help a little bit. It might fire off your brain in the same way, but I don't know, because there's still a lot of stuff that isn't perfect in those games, and stuff that you wouldn't want to be perfect because it's not fun. You know, like you can do a 360 flip, halfway through it you start spinning and the board speeds up because your body's starting to spin. That doesn't happen in real life. Or stuff where if you do a 360 flip, you transfer forward slightly, so 360 flip into a front side 50-50 is a lot easier than 360 flip backside 50-50, but in a video game it's all the same, right? So there'd be a lot of stuff that you might be learning bad habits from, you might be getting the wrong idea, you might be teaching yourself slightly off from how it really works, but, and so in that way, I don't know if drilling skateboarding by watching a game would do you a lot of good in that way. But I do think it would help in general because of a couple different things. Like if I play skate, I will keep track of which tail I'm on, even though the game doesn't care. So if I do like a big spin, fakey nose grind, I'll do like a switch hard flip before my next trick to switch the board back around. So it's like, it makes me think of that. It would help me plan out a real life line a little bit better because I'm planning out lines in the game. And I know how it looks to maybe do a trick that spins backside and immediately do something switch front side. It would keep going the same direction. Gives you more ideas and more impressions of what to do. It could also give you ideas about how better to skate, or different ways to skate spots. You know, like doing a manual on, you can do a manual on a manual pad, or you can like manual up halfway and then ollie over onto the coping halfway through, or something like that you came up with in the game that you could transfer into your actual skating. So it might not make you better at kickflips, but it might make you think more openly about certain types of stuff. The other big thing I thought of was teaching you with filming. So in the skate series, definitely you could record your own clips. And I know a lot of us had a ton of fun doing that. You could like do keyframes with the camera so that you can be like on this side, wrap around as he does the first trick, and then you kind of speed up so that he's coming at you for the last trick, slow down for the stairs at the end so he passes you, and come up. You can like direct how that was filmed. It's not going to help you learn how to actually push and how to speed up and slow down while keeping the camera steady. You know how you would have to actually film it, but it would help you think about what looks best, help you experiment and figure out better ways to film. So in a few different ways, I do think playing skateboarding games like Skater XL or Skate or Session are actually helpful for skateboarding, just maybe not in the way you were thinking, although who really knows. So that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you've thought up some questions at the beginning. If you have, go to radratvideo.com. There's a form you could submit your own questions on right there on the homepage. Also, make sure you tap my logo in the middle of the screen to subscribe, and you won't miss the next round of questions. And until that happens, here are some more videos you can check out in the meantime. Thanks for watching.